right, Crime Talk aficionados, we were showing you the closing arguments for the Brooke Skylar Richardson case that took place this morning. And as we were playing that, the jury came back with a verdict in this particular case, and she was found not guilty of murder, not guilty of involuntary manslaughter, not guilty of child endangerment, and also made a special finding that no harm to the child, and guilty to count 4, which was the abuse of a corpse, which frankly is probably what she was found guilty of.
Would the defendant please rise? With regard to count 1, we, the jury in the above captioned case, find the defendant, Brooke Skylar Richardson, not guilty of the offense of aggravated murder, and there appear to be 12 jury signatures affixed. Verdict form 2, involuntary manslaughter. We, the jury in the above captioned case, do hereby find the defendant, Brooke Skylar Richardson, not guilty of the offense of involuntary manslaughter. Count 3, child endangerment. We, the jury, find the defendant, Brooke Skylar Richardson, not guilty of child endangerment. It does say we further find the defendant did not cause serious physical harm to the alleged victim, but that finding is not necessary as a matter of law. Verdict form number 4, we, the jury in the above captioned case, find the defendant, Brooke Skylar Richardson, guilty of the offense of abuse of a corpse. Ladies and gentlemen, are those the verdicts of the jury? Yes, sir. You may be seated.
I've watched large portions of this trial. I've watched the closing arguments, and I urge you to watch the rest of the defense closing arguments as well as the prosecution's case and rebuttal. There's no way that they could refute the fact that Ms. Richardson said that the child was stillborn, and based upon the confessions and how that things were done in this particular case, the jury reached a very quick verdict. And the fact that they came back that quickly is not surprising that the verdict came back not guilty the way it did. The burden of proof in a case like this is obviously very high. The government has a huge hurdle to overcome. And even in the closing argument, the defense attorney goes and says, hey, even if you think maybe this child was born alive, it wasn't stillborn, maybe still not enough to overcome the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt that this child was born alive. There's only probably one person in the world that really knows, and that's Miss Richardson. And bottom line is that she first denied it, then she did, and the government stuck with this story about somehow charring the body, and it just really didn't make any sense. I was really surprised that the prosecution went forward the way they did, and obviously the jury, just made their determination. I will never second guess a jury's determination. They're the ones that sat through all of the evidence. They had the legal standard. They're the ones that go back into the community and say, hey, I was there. This is what the evidence was or was not. And in this particular case, Ms. Richardson's case, they've just said she's not guilty. The judge set this matter for sentencing tomorrow at 11 a.m. on the 1 count of abuse of corpse. So that will go forward. I can't imagine she's going to get any jail and or prison time on any charge like that, given what she has gone through. It's just one of those cases where it's a sad situation. There are no winners. There are no losers. As oftentimes in criminal cases, there are no winners or losers. There's always a victim. There's always a defendant. Somebody is never going to be happy with the result. And so ultimately, that's where we are. So that's all I've got to say about it right now. But what we want to do is I want to urge you to go back and watch the closing summation of the defense counsel as well as the rebuttal by the prosecution. And I think when you see the way the evidence is laid out and understand what the attorneys say in closing is not evidence, but it's a recap. It's their way of saying this is what you should look at, the facts with the law that the court has given them, and holding the government to their burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the highest form of proof known in the law anywhere. So this is actually a very good case. The prosecution kind of did their typical, these are the facts, this is what the law is, etc. The defense only gets one opportunity to go, and so they got to fit it all in one summation. But we're going to go back to the closing arguments, and you can see why the verdict was reached the way it was. And so once again, not guilty of the murder, not guilty of involuntary manslaughter, not guilty of child endangerment, and guilty to abuse of corpse. And Ms. Richardson will be sentenced tomorrow at 11 a.m. Oh, one more thing. The new Crime Talk shirts have arrived. If you want to go to the link, check it out, get yourself a shirt, or depending on the level that you join on Patreon, you will get one sent to you. So take a look at that. Like the video, subscribe, and we'll talk to you later. Have a great day.